dream bigger, don't settle, and raise your standards. That full stop. I think a lot of times we think like, oh, I've always done it this way. I can't do it any other way. But it's like, you actually can have everything you want if you just choose to believe that you can.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Why don't you just share what your vision is, where we are, what we're doing?
So I wanted to do this because I feel like this is like, when we come together for like business stuff, the questions a lot of the time are like business stuff. And I wanted to do like the girl talk version of this, of just like, what do you really want to talk about? Like, what are the conversations that you actually want to have that maybe you wouldn't ask me or us when we're like in a mastermind setting, or like when it's like official work time. So I wanted this to be like a little off the cuff, a little like, okay, what's it really like? And the other reason why I think it's just like community is so important. And there's so many moments where having our business, and I think, as I'm sure even like the team feels like this too, but like owning your own business or like doing something so different than the people you know in your real life, it can just be so lonely. And I wanted to do something that was like brings us together. So we all talk a lot, right? But just like, I want you to know that we all like struggle and go through the same things. Like there's that unifying thread that like connects us all, especially as women. Like, so that's really why I wanted to do this, of just like, can we like have comfy clothes and just have like the real talk that shows like we're all the same. And I really believe that like the people you surround yourself with are so important to you. So like every single one of you in this room are just such a positive light. And I know like these conversations, I just want you to feel like excited, lit up, but also like really seen and heard by this. So we're like just gonna have conversations, but really like there's no question off limit. Like I really wanted it to feel like girl talk, basically, like the best kind that's gonna like light your soul on fire and just like leave you having fun. So we're gonna kind of start, and we're gonna just talk through some things, but any questions, then in part 2, any questions you have, like please don't hold back. Like and this is like for all of us. So we're really curious like what goes on in all of our heads, and it's a lot, right? It's noisy in there sometimes. So let's just share, ask questions, and just like have a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking early on about mission and vision, and we've shared a little bit of this. I mean, we were in one of our many kind of strategic planning sessions where like we would all meet in Florida. Nicole and her family would come, her kids would come. I bring my kids. But I remember this one particular one where we were talking about mission and vision, and we were throwing out all of these ideas. And it's sort of like, there's no bad idea in a brainstorm, right? Like there were some real doozies that we threw out there. But I remember one of the things that we kept coming back to is like, how can we marry this idea of being wildly profitable, because we are serious about businesses, but also wildly fun. And that's really where like a lot of that comes. And I just think like this night and these conversations to me really like resonate from that original conversation of you being like, I want to create space for CEOs to have fun and to enjoy their lives. And I like, for me, and this is where we'll start, like it feels to me like your energy in 2025 in particular has been so joyful and so fun. And it doesn't mean there haven't been hard times, but has this been a fun year for you?
I honestly think this is like, oh, are we going to cry already? Like, yes. I think 2025, I just really committed to like up-leveling so many things and just like going for it. It's even like doing this, like these things aren't, it's kind of like, oh, I want to do this, so let's do it. You know, it's not like overthinking. It was just like, well, what do you think about this? That's really how this started out. I was like, Wednesday night, the team will be here. I know I can get some people here. Okay, let's do it. Yes, it's been a really, really fun year. And I think it came from just being so tired of taking myself so dang seriously all the time. And I had this perception of me that I was just like so boring and not fun. And, you know, it's like, even like in my head, like we had like 7 more people coming to this, and they all either had family emergencies or got like pretty sick. Life happens, right? But I'll tell you, my first instinct was they don't want to hang out with me. Last night, and Dan's like, going to basketball. And I was like, I also like didn't really share that with him, but I would have if he didn't go to basketball. But that's beside the point. But like, I still get in my head over these things. I still think those things. So this year was kind of like my year of like breaking out of my shell and just being like, no, I am fun. I am fun. And I like literally, like in my phone, one of my lists is like, I'm fun. And I like literally keep track of like ways that I'm fun. So yeah, that was a big focus for me this year.
So there's so many questions I get to ask you here that I don't think I've ever had the chance to. So this, like, what a cool and fun thing this is for me too. But like, what else do you feel like you are so good at helping people through their mindset?
Mm-hmm.
Like you are so exceptional. And I think this room, there's so many nodding where it's like, you can see through and really help us understand, like, where's that coming from? Is that something you were told? Is that something, you know, you experienced? Like, but for you, like, what are those deep, dark fears? Like, if you worry about what people are saying behind your back in a negative way, what comes up for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. I honestly think it's probably, I don't worry about people talking behind my back because I actually think I like so don't care, but I almost think like I too much don't care. So like I'll remove myself because I don't care. You know, I hope I'm explaining that, but like I'm the type of person where if I can't compete and feel like if I'm not going to win, I'm just not going to play. So sometimes in the past, I'll just take myself out, you know, like I can remember even in like masterminds where there would be like friendly competitions. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be good at that. So I'm not even going to play. And that's playing to lose, right? Like that is, and I recognize it and I've done a lot of work on that. So it's not that I think I'm worried about what people are going to say, although I'm sure there's something there because I think I'm like thinking of my house and I think it's probably around like, oh, she's like too much or like too rich without getting to know me as like a person. So that's probably something, but also like boring and like a lot of abandonment stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that. I don't know how fun that is.
What do you think people say about you behind your back, or what do you hope they say when they're talking about you in the most positive terms?
Oh, how much I helped them. Like, I think it's inspiration or just like showing what's possible. Like that really is, which is the irony of or it's like the duality because I want to show you what's possible in your life. But I actually think that's actually very interesting because that also is me thinking my life is boring what has pulled me back from showing that. And I've really had to show myself that like your clients think your life is the dream. So that actually is probably like a big shift I made this year.
I mean, I've had the pleasure, we've talked about this, of knowing you for like more than a decade now. If you don't know this, like a lot of times I will measure like my life stages with Nicole by the age of our oldest daughters because they're both 13 and we were pregnant at the same time and we kind of knew each other in like a different life.
A different way. Yeah.
But so I'm always like, wow, that's how long we've known each other and gotten to know. So I feel like I've seen a lot of stages of Nicole, and then obviously being on the team and getting even closer with you has given me a different perspective. But I'm wondering now, like who do you keep in front of you that helps pull you into your next level? Because you're doing that for so many people, the team, clients, you know, people who are just watching you. Have you found it challenging to find people that are ahead enough of you?
Yeah, 100%. I have a mentor. I'm also like in a course with Ali Nympho around like self-image, she's amazing, but she's not like, it's a course. So it's not like I'm like going to her as like a friend. But yeah, I think it is difficult too. Like I have a few friendships, but it's actually not anyone in person, which I think is the biggest thing, because I don't feel like I have that friend that's like, oh, you're down the street. Like, I have great relationships with in my life. My family is so supportive. Like, we could not do this without my mom, my sister, and Dan's mom. Like 100%. We had our family over, like they're there for my kids, but it's not that person. And that's why I wanted to create this and do more of this, because it's not like the people that you can just be like, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee? And I think that's what I crave the most.
Yeah. It's so interesting because we were at our last live event, Known, you were sharing at one of the tables, so like you and I will have Voxer conversations and then we will have text conversations. And they are like, that is a direct line. Like the friend conversations happen in text. It doesn't mean we don't laugh and have fun, but like that is for Voxer. And I'm wondering, how many relationships in your life have you had somebody that you worked with and were friends with, or has that been hard over the years?
I wouldn't say it's hard. I think I have good relationships with everyone that we've worked with, but I think it's like letting people in on that other level is like hard.
Have there been any times you've been burned by that?
No, probably because of a lack of like vulnerability, though, not because, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be burned if you don't put yourself out there. I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so interesting to me because, again, I feel like this also speaks to what you talk about a lot on mindset calls for our clients or on the Expand podcast or really anything. But it's like, this is where that vulnerability, it's such a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line. And that's something I actually struggle with because, and like, I actually think it's pretty easy to be vulnerable in like this kind of setting, or like on our mastermind calls or on an Elevate call. I'm like actually good to be vulnerable there. But I think, and this is actually something I've had to work with as a mother too, because I'm such a positive person, that sometimes you bypass what you're going through because you're so positive. But what I have realized is seeing, like, even in my 13-year-old, I've seen how it's almost like, well, you should be mad at that. Like, you should be angry at that. And it's almost like a lack of emotion. And I've been like, oh, that is me, because I almost am like, oh no, everything's fine, when everything like maybe is not fine. It's almost like, but I don't necessarily want to say it's toxic positivity, because I'm very into feeling my emotions, but I've seen how my lack of vulnerability with my kids has kind of like made them share less about their true feelings. So we've like, Dan and I are really like working on backtracking with that and being like, this made me mad because I want them to know I have those feelings, or like, you know what? TT pissed me off today. And that's something I wouldn't have done in the past, but I realized like, no, it's actually important, because I want them to know that like humans and people in deep relationships can be mad at each other and work through it, and like that's good. And it's like our joke in the family that like, you know, if Dan and I like will argue, like a light argue, not like about something almost like trivial, Olivia's like almost like can't handle it. And I'm like trying to teach her like, no, like this is what good relationships do. So that was a long answer to your question.
It was a really good one. Yeah. It actually, what it brought up for me is, I have two daughters. One is very much like me in some ways. Like, her temperament is, she likes a routine. She's a little bit more type A. She's very sensitive to criticism. Like, that's me. But then my younger one is like wild. She's like the extroverted, fun version of me. And I sort of, you know, like, for those of you who are parents, or, you know, you're around kids, like that happens. I find one of my kids to be much harder for me to parent than the other. And I'm wondering whether it's parenting or clients. Yeah. Is there a type of client? I don't mean like something that they do, but like, is there anything that triggers you? Like, you know, we've talked about this. Sometimes I'll come out of like an amazing coaching call, but I'm like I really got my feelings about that, or like I really don't think I answered that as well as I would have liked to. And you've been good at coaching me, but also reminding me sometimes like the thing that a client or a kid or a friend will do actually is like triggering for you in a way that isn't for anyone else. Are there any things like that?
It is very difficult for a client to trigger me. Very difficult. I would say the only which I don't even know, like, I can't even think of the last time this has happened, being uncoachable or just being like the person that's just like, I've tried that without like being open to like a different perspective. So clients, very difficult to trigger me. My kids, I think my middle child is so, she can be very stuck in her ways and her thinking sometimes, and she won't move an inch sometimes. So learning how to parent her when she's just like set in her ways sometimes has been a growth opportunity, of course. And I think as she's gotten older, it's like, you know, she's learning how to navigate that herself. But I think I'm not the type of person that's just going to dig my feet into the sand and not move. Would you agree? Yeah. But I think sometimes my middle one is just like, no.
Yeah.
There's no wiggle room here. And I've made my choice, and that's the choice, and that's it. And sometimes you feel like, well, that's not fair, but it's learning to navigate. Like, this is her reality and this is mine, and how do you come together on that?
So how do you, and again, I think this applies to coaching clients as well as kids, but like, where's the line on the responsibility? Like, at what point are you responsible for helping a client get over something, you know, like that they're blocked on, or that they're, you know, that they're resisting because it's actually what they need? Like, how much responsibility do you feel to get them past that? Or how do you determine, like, where does that end? And again, same thing with kids. Like, where does it end of like, I want you to become this person, but at some point you need to deal with the consequences?
I think it's such a specific situation. Like with a client, I don't know. If you're not willing to move, how much responsibility do I have? I feel almost none if you're not willing to do anything to help yourself. With my kids, it's different, I think. You know, I'm trying to think of a specific situation for my...
I mean, I feel like you've led our children to take on a lot more responsibility.
I have a microphone for you. Hold on 1 second. Because I know people are going to want to hear this.
I just feel like you have kind of set the example for our kids to take on a lot of their own responsibility. And even with the middle child, like, she is stubborn, and you've done a lot of coaching with her one-to-one of like, if you're going to be stubborn, then you got to process your stuff yourself. You know, so here are some tools, choose a tool and go do it, you know? And so I think that's kind of how I view this, is like, with our kids, we don't take much responsibility for them. And I think that's actually what makes them responsible, is because we're not telling them what to do. We're like, figure it out.
I remember you shared that now that Dan is talking about that, like, you were talking about something around homework or an assignment, and you were like, at some point, like, it's not my job to like make sure she gets it done.
I don't do anything for any of them. And it's like, it's like kind of a joke in our house. Even my 7-year-old, she does everything. Like, they're incredibly responsible kids. They come home, they do their homework. Sometimes they'll watch like a 20-minute show first. I don't do anything. I don't know about their tests. Like, it's actually like quite comical in our house. But like, if they want help, they have to come and ask me for help. But they are great. Like, they're great students. They're very responsible. And, you know, our oldest would actually like us to take her out of school less. So
that's typical eldest daughter energy though too. So I know this is not true, but I will tell you, sometimes I'll hear you talk, or I'll hear you share a story, and I'm like, how is she this grounded? Like, I feel like you came out into the world like this, but I know that can't be true. So I always love to hear people's origin stories. Like, take me back to your own 8-year-old Nicole. Like, were you this measured and chill, and like, or what was your life like?
Yes, I think I was, because of the environment I grew up in. Like, I grew up with a tumultuous father. I grew up with parents that fought literally all the time. I tried to make sure my sister was good. Like, I think, yes, I have probably always been like this, like very grounded and measured. But coming from a trauma background and do like almost like numbing or like disassociating, taking myself out. And like that has been my work to like not disassociate all of the time and like make sure I'm like actually like in my body. And that I think also is where the I'm not fun comes from, of just like, oh, because I'm so like calm and chill, that like the perception of myself, like no one has ever said to me, by the way, you are not fun. Like that is not like, and I would say in college I was very fun, too fun, like too fun. But I think also it comes from like out of college, like I didn't have the 20s that my friends had. Dan and I were like sacrificing from our 20s. Like we bought a place to live in. Like we were saving our money as much as we could. Like I quit my teaching job. So like my friends had wild and crazy 20s, and we did not have wild and crazy 20s. We were like at home, like built, and then like at 25 I quit. So I was like building the business while my friends were out like getting shit-faced, honestly, in their 20s. And it's so I lived a whole different life than many of my friends.
I want to hear more about like crazy wild Nicole though, because this is a side, like that is a story I have never heard. What paint the picture. What is
I don't know,
what does wild
just
and crazy
like
Nicole look like?
Typical college life. I don't know. We went to a small
And you and Dan met in college.
We met in college, yeah.
Was he your first boyfriend? What
Pretty
was
much,
this?
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
That's why we have conversations like this.
Yeah.
Do you look back and wish that you had a
No.
different, so in your
Nothing.
20s, you were like,
I was perfect. Like, honestly, I think we did enough partying for my entire life in 4 years and even in high school. And I have zero regrets.
Yeah.
Like I did not do like the bachelorette circuit. Like I just was never into that. And zero regrets.
it's so interesting to me because I don't know that this is true, and I don't want to, but I always feel like there's this beautiful shyness about you. And so like what has always made me, I've shared this with you, like I will work very hard to make you my friend. Like I don't want, I'm like, you are going to be a standoffish cat. Like I am going to force you to be friends. And, but it's because like, there's this beautiful unlock, you know what I'm saying? Like there's this beautiful unlock when you're like, oh my gosh, like we're in and we're friends. But I have always perceived you to have this like shyness.
Yeah.
Which feels very special when you get on the inside. But it's like this interesting dichotomy, because then I hear you talk about like showing up with authority, being in the one era, becoming known, becoming obsessed. Like, does that feel natural for you this year? Would it have felt natural for you 5 years ago?
Oh my gosh. No. I mean, natural for me this year from putting in the reps and doing the work and being like, the thing that like actually gets under if you want to know what gets under my skin, it's seeing posts from other people where I've said things like that. And what I'm not saying is that they have copied me in any way. I'm saying they have similar ideas to me, but they're pushing them out before I can push them out in a bigger way. So like when I read like a 2026 predictions post, I'm like, we literally just had this conversation and like this person basically beat me to it. And of course, there's room for everyone. That's not what this is about. Of course, I'll still publish it. But I know that my ideas and the way that I think is so innovative and so creative. So this year was a lot of, I'm so tired of not being known, right? So like, how do we take this up a level? And this is the work I have to do to help the people I want to help. So I'm the only one that's stopping me. I'm the only one in my way. But no, I was not born like this at all.
So because I feel like your ego is not driven by some of those metrics, like I feel like you're so data driven, right? With that said, like when will you know that you have made it? When will you become known? When will you be like, oh, there I am? Or will that never happen?
Yeah, well, I'll say like this year has been all about, for me, this right here is enough. This is actually more than enough. Anything past this is like cherry on the cake, icing on top. And I finally realized this, like like those balloons back there are because I was like, I need to fucking own 37 months of 100K. Like, that's why there's also an ice cream. I was like, I'm having a fucking party. We are doing this. Daniel Balloon Guy, can you get me balloons in 2 days? And he was like, yes, I can. So it was a lot of the past 3 years saying it's not enough. And I was just like, why isn't this enough? Like, I have my health. I have energy. I have 3 kids who are thriving. Anyone who meets my kids will tell you they are the loveliest, most respectful, grounded, like amazing, kind-hearted children. Like, we're building our house. Like, how could this not be enough? So like, I'm done with that. Mm-hmm. So it truly, like, I have so much more work to do, but this right here, this is success. This is more than we would ever have dreamed of in 2011 when I quit my teaching job. So like, denying yourself when you have such a beautiful life, you can want more and know that this is enough right now.
You are about to go into a life stage. I don't want to I don't mind making you cry, but we mentioned our daughters are 13. Yeah. You've got these 3 beautiful kids. Like, there's going to be, over the next few years, I imagine you're going to be having a lot of benchmarks with the business and also like lasts and benchmarks with the kids.
Oh my gosh. This is like instant tears. Okay.
What, like,
I'm going to start sweating. I am sweating when you talk about kids. Okay.
Well, the thing is, it's generational though, right? And so I'm just wondering, like, how far in advance do you look? Like, do you make 3 and 5 year plans, or are you truly like, I'm where my feet are?
3-5 year plans for the business?
For the business, for your life?
No, not honestly. No, we don't. Not really. I mean, when we're building this house, and the intention is so like our kids will we'll have time and somewhere. We're building this dream house because we need space for our work, but really it's like, so my kids will always have somewhere to like come back to. So like that, but no, like beyond, I'm very like, what do I want to do this year? Like, I have a really big, I'll take it, but I'm okay. I just had to get that one word out. Like, I know I have a big vision, but I don't spend too much time in the 3 to 5 year range because so much will change. So much will change. I don't know, like, what if AI takes over the world and whatever. Like, I just don't, I feel like sometimes that is like too much planning, and I love a plan, but the way I operate is like, I need to be flexible. So it's useless to me to think 5 years down the road. I think about, we'll have our house, like Olivia will be in college, like that kind of thing. But that's more of just like, no, let's just stay here.
Yeah. When you look back, and I know a lot of people know your story about, I mean, you've had, again, like so many life stages, but also business stages, running the granola company, shifting, even like inside the online coaching and business building space, like you've had so many iterations. But that's what is always amazing to me. Like, you mentioned, tell them again, like, what do the balloons represent? What does it represent?
37 months of 100K or above.
Which is
revenue. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Thank you.
But what's so interesting to me too is that, like, if you were to go back to that, not even that first month of 100K, but the month before, like, would 3 years, does it feel like it happened in an instant, or did it feel like a slow kind of turtle journey?
Yeah, it feels both. I think it feels like both, and it feels like, oh my gosh, we've been doing this for so long, like. And I'm so proud of how we have evolved and just like kept raising the standards and not settled. Like, it's been 4 years of running Elevate. And I think we've continued to grow and to think and to like just challenge ourselves creatively. So there was never like stagnation. So I think it's like, it is both. When I think about the month before we hit that, and just, I remember being like, when is it gonna happen for us? Which is like just so wild. We just beat ourselves up so much. And I think that's why I'm so like focused on presence right now, because I don't want to miss out on this. And so what? Like, you know, it's just like, stop taking it all so seriously.
I know we just said we don't do long-term planning, but
Yeah.
we're recording this in early December
Yeah.
2025. So you have to be thinking about 2026. Like
Yeah.
what's around the corner? What do you want? What do you expect to happen in 2026? And you take it business, life, personal.
Yeah, 2026 is a big year for us because of we're building this house that we're going to move into in 2026. We're going to we have a high schooler, we have a middle schooler, and we'll have an elementary school. So we'll be in 3 different schools. And I think 2026 is the year of creativity and innovation. I think a lot of people just doled everything down with AI in 2025 and took it way too far. And it really is like the business owners who are going to double down on innovation and creativity and just like being human, that human connection, storytelling, like that's what we're going all in on in 2026. And I think it also is just like falling in love with every single thing that you are doing, every single part of your life. And the people who will do that, the audience will feel it from them, and they can't help but buy from you.
I know we're going to open it up to questions here in a few minutes, and I know you're going to get a lot of like the ask me anything questions, but you just inspired one. You were talking about AI. Did you ever fall into that trap this year, or
Totally.
like where you over relied on it or you had to course correct?
Yeah, 100%. It just is so easy. It's so easy. It just makes so many things easy. And for example, me, Dan, and Katy were sitting down today, and I took out ChatGPT and I recorded it, and I just said like, okay, help me like keep this organized. And we had our conversation. And I think that's like a brilliant way, if I could toot my own horn, to use ChatGPT just to help you organize and like make it cohesive. But where I went wrong with it was just letting it do too much for me and losing my sense of self with it. And I will never forget, I opened up an email from someone's email list that I was on, and this was probably maybe like April or May or something. And I swear this was like an email that I had sent out. And I was just like, oh, this is what ChatGPT is doing. They're just writing, you like input some things, and now if you put these 2 emails together, you wouldn't know who is Nicole and who is this other person. And that to me scared the shit out of me and made me be like, holy shit, this is too much. I really have to pull back. And I really went back to writing all of my emails by hand, writing all of my content by hand, and using it as like almost like a brainstorm partner sometimes, but it has to start and end and be heavily edited by me. So it was just like, oh my gosh, it's fine, right? But you learn those lessons, and I definitely learned that lesson of just like, oh, you feel like all of the air was sucked out of what you did, and now I need to like course correct.
Yeah. You were talking about writing emails. I remember we were having a conversation with a colleague maybe like a month ago, and they were like, oh, wait, you write your own emails? And you're like, yeah, I still do like a lot of that. What are some other things that you think would surprise people about the way you run your 7-figure business?
Yeah. I think I still do a lot of things that people would be surprised, like making logos and images and
unwrapping glassware at the party.
Yeah, I think they would be surprised at just like how everyone on our team is willing to get their hands dirty and is like the Swiss Army knife. And you really have to understand like when should you and when shouldn't you. And there's a lot like at our level, we have a really great team who does a lot of great things. And sometimes I still need to get my hands dirty, and there's like nothing wrong with that. And I'm not ashamed by it.
Yeah.
At all.
Wave the magic wand, right? Because if you are familiar with Nicole at all, this is like one of my favorite prompts, like wave the magic wand. Wouldn't it be fun if? But I'm curious for you, wave the magic wand in your business and take away like any hesitation, any of the logistics. What would be the next big accomplishment? What's the next balloon, the next cake? Like, what are we celebrating?
Oh, so actually, this might actually surprise you, but it might not. My next big accomplishment would be hiring like a full-time content person, in not to create the content, but to help me get my content where I envision it. So like we've talked about like having someone come and just like record us for like a full day, like capturing, because we have so many conversations that then we try to like rehab again, and they never hit as good the second time, or like just really showing behind the scenes of what we go through in a way that I don't have time to do. So I feel like if I could actually show the behind the scenes and like the content in the way it is in my brain, because my brain and my skills don't match right now. So that would actually be my next big thing.
All right. What's a message? Like what do you want every CEO, every woman, every business owner, every mom, what do you want them to hear about what's possible or what you believe in for them?
Dream bigger, don't settle, and raise your standards. That full stop. I think a lot of times we think like, oh, I've always done it this way. I can't do it any other way. But it's like you actually can have everything you want if you just choose to believe that you can. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, but I would have never believed that there would be someone who would like to do my laundry for me. And that's like the littlest thing, or maybe it's little, maybe it's not, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not like buy a castle in Ireland big, right? It's just like find someone who could do our laundry, because Dan and I both hate doing laundry. So like if you can actually believe it, you can figure it out, but you have to take the time to be willing to say that is for me and I want that, and being okay with the consequences that may come if you choose to want that. Like last thing, like case in point, we bought this house not even a quarter mile away. My kids will still go to the same school. And we tore the house down and like completely tore it down. There was someone put a public Facebook post up about us in our town group with a screenshot of the house and said like, how dare these people? Like, it's probably just a money grab. It was like this whole post, tons of comments under this post. And I had a choice there. And then, of course, what happens? Your friends start screenshotting it and sending it to you, because I'm not in actually this group because it's very toxic. And I was just like, okay, I have a choice. I could cower here, or I could say, I'm doing this for me and my family. If you wanted the bricks on this house, then you should have bought the house. So that's a consequence, though. That's a consequence of like choosing to have a bigger life and to dream bigger and to go after what you want. And there are going to be consequences and there are going to be costs, but you have to decide, for me, am I going to go for it anyway? Because the payoff is just so big.